Now, in the last 5 6 years, people have started talking about three-dimensional world, five-dimensional, shifting from 3D to 5D, and then multidimensionality. So people have been now talking about it, but have people actually understood what is dimensionality and how dimensions work? Now you see, Earth is a three-dimensional plane. Now, on the three-dimensional plane, the maximum dimensionality that you can perceive or the humans can actually understand is three-dimensional. Now, to see what is 4D and how 4D looks like, or 5D looks like, or the higher dimensions look like on Earth, it is tough for the human mind to perceive it, to actually get what exactly it is. But at the same time, if humans will actually attune themselves to the true functionality of the three-dimensional world that we are in, the physical earthly plane, which is three-dimensional. So if they attune themselves to that plane, so they can better realize what exactly is the high dimensionality, because it is all about the consciousness. As your consciousness expands, so you can better realize the functionality of the higher dimensionality. Now you see, in a 3D plane that we are inside, so anything that can be projected, that can be presented, is in a 3D way. So the maximum thing that you can project is in a three-dimensional world. So the humans can actually perceive a 3D plane, the 3D objects, or 3D humans. So even the higher dimensional being, if or the multidimensional being, if he's projected into the three-dimensional body, so they will also be speaking about the multidimensionality, but the humans can only realize the three-dimensionality of it, because they are only attuned, aligned, and they are all conditioned and programmed to the lower functionality of the 3D plane, not exactly the real functionality of 3D. Because if you look at any object, so they are only 3D objects. So in a 3D plane like Earth that we are inside, one can project the 1D, 2D, and 3D at max, but you cannot actually present something which is 4D or 5D. So but higher dimensional being, or higher being with the multidimensionality or multidimensional function, which the being is presented in the 3D body on a 3D plane. So that being is projected in a 3D way in front of the beings, but the consciousness that the being is carrying is multidimensional consciousness. So the beings have to realize this functionality of 3D to the higher dimensionality. So the beings have to realize that the real functionality of a 3D plane is maximum 3D. That is why it is Trigunatmak Jagat. So the matrix that you're inside, the earthly matrix, is 3D matrix. So this matrix, which in Sanskrit we call as matrika, so this matrika is all trigunatmak, means tri-dimensional. It works on the principle of three. So it has everything around satraj, tamas, or it is just around like three axes. So when this tri-dimensional world is working on the functionality of three, means like three Dev, Trinity. So beings have to realize that how they can actually master this functionality of 3D. Because until you don't master the functionality of a 3D world, you cannot actually subscribe to the high dimensionality or multidimensionality. The nature that you see with your eyes itself has a functionality of multidimensionality. So it can help you attune to the higher frequency and the higher consciousness, and prepare yourself for a higher world than the world that you're right now. And beings recently, if you will see, they had been talking about it, but they have not prepared. So if they are prepared, then they would know that how their 3D body functions, how the whole three-dimensional world is working, what are the laws of this three-dimensional nature, three-dimensional world, three-dimensional body that they're inside. So the multi-dimensional being who is projected in this reality, or who is awakened in this reality, he carries the functionality of uh, higher dimensions. So he brings that wisdom of the higher dimensions onto this plane, which is absolutely original, real, and the beings on this plane, the humans, have to learn that how to master, how to uh, train their self into the 3D world. Because if they don't train their self into the 3D, they cannot subscribe to the high dimensionality. Just like if you don't clear like any of your grades, So then you cannot be put onto the higher grade, or you cannot go into like any higher class. So from one standard to the other standard, you have to clear the first standard. So similarly, humans have to learn to master the 3D body first, and learning to live in the 3D plane. In multidimensional being, in the scriptural way we look at it, is called Vishwaroop. So Vishwaroop means the being who has a form of the whole creation, who is a representative of the whole creation, but in the 3D way, in a 3D worldly body. Now, body itself, because of the training, the conditioning, the program that beings have undergone in the last 100 200 years, so they think the body is deceptive. So they had been denying the body, like I'm not the body, you should find something within or something inside. But the real way of living on earth is not like that. So real way had been like, if you cannot even clear a simple mathematics or like physics or any exam in the school, in the in like a uh, the education that you have, the system that you have, if you cannot even clear a single exam in your school without the help of a teacher or without someone else delivering unto you, so how can you actually clear the exam of three-dimensional world that you are actually inside, you're trapped inside? And to clear the matrix of 3D world, you have to actually train yourself, prepare yourself, discipline yourself, and align to the real laws, the real divine laws called dharma, the eternal laws called Sanatan Dharma. So until you align to the three-dimensional laws, you cannot subscribe to multidimensionality, or you cannot jump from one dimensionality to the other, because each dimension is in a different way. So it will be good for the humans to align to the divine laws, to the three-dimensional laws. So because you can see the earthly matrix, if you cannot see the physical plane, and you are not able to actually decipher what this 3D plane that is physically visible in front of your two physical eyes, then you cannot get the fruits of your third eye. It is just like qualifying yourself from one level to the other. So firstly, the two physical eyes, the physical senses has to be trained. Training oneself from 3D, and actually aligning to the real laws and the real way of living in the three-dimensional world can help beings excel from 3D to the higher dimensionality.